Let me know. Hello, excited to welcome you all to our webinar all about how to become a full-time content creator with 3 different full-time content creators in 3 different sectors. We have Dominique in the hiking space, Kevin in the hunting space, and Laura in the travel arena. So you'll get to hear not only about, from different niches, but also depending on where you're at in your creator journey. We have Kevin with over like a decade of experience alongside our newer creators with a year or 2 of experience. So please go ahead and type in the chat box 2 things. First, what niche you're in, and second, how many years of content creation experience you have. As you guys are doing that, let's have our amazing speakers introduce themselves. Let's start with Kevin.
Yeah, I am Kevin Paulson. I am the founder of huntinglife.com. And I got into content creation basically as an outfitter in 2002 when I started my first blog for an outfitting business. And when I sold that business in 2006, I started huntinglife.com. And we've been creating content. We have 19,000 articles on our website, and we produce a magazine quarterly.
Nice. Let's go, Dominique.
Awesome. Hi, everyone. I'm Dominique Ritchie, and I'm also She Wanders Earth. I'm a full-time van lifer of over 6 years now, being on the road. You can find me on Instagram and YouTube. That's where I create all my content for my personal brand, and I'm excited to be here.
And hi, everyone. I am Laura, the creator behind Laura Dolci Travels. I have been doing content creation for a bit, but I started doing it full-time 2 years ago. And yeah.
Super cool. All right, so we have our early comer, Marie. Thank you for typing in the chat. Climbing in outdoors. So Marie has started about 2 years ago with content creation. Amazing. Let's see, we have Katie and Joe. Oh, I just emailed you guys. Couple travelers, 10 plus years as photographers. They also have some great stuff to say as well. So honestly, Katie and Joe, if you guys have advice as well that you guys want to put in the chat too, feel free. I know you guys have an amazing, they just increased their income like tenfold or what. It was something crazy recently. We have Chalet traveling by bicycle, making videos for 6 years. Nice. We have Chad, created content since it's been a thing. Wow, how many years are we talking about, Chad? Do you beat Kevin in the years? Actually, Kevin, how many years have you been creating content?
Since 2002.
Okay, so do the math there.
Yeah, it's 22 years.
Okay, let's see, Chad. Let's Sarah, adventures with my dog and dog therapy, 1 year. Mark, firearms and tactical. I love the diversity that we have in the chat. Started in 2019. Sophia, she's one of our regular creator connect attendees, so welcome. 8 months ago, she just started van lifing, so great. Rayanne just hopped in, amazing. Let's see, Katie, we absolutely okay. Dita, yes. We just did her personal branding stuff. Okay, cool. So lots and lots of different people in lots of different sectors. Now, a couple things we want to do before we dive into the interview is that I want to mention, if you have a question that's relevant to something that one of these creators mentions, please type it in the chat ASAP so we can answer it right then and there. We want this to be a chill conversation between our speakers and attendees. So please utilize the chat feature. We will also have a dedicated 10 minutes at the end. So, but we prefer if you just ask your questions right away so it could be aligned with the current conversation. Finally, let me introduce myself really quick before we get started. I'm Elaine, was a full-time content creator for 7 years up until joining RockPorch this January. And now I get to advise our creators on everything I've learned in terms of monetization, content strategy, and more. So, speaking of monetization, can you guys briefly describe your journey from side hustle to full-time content creator in regards to what you did maybe before, what happened monetarily or situationally that helped you make the leap?
I can start. For me, I went through a transition. I lost my father in 2006, and I was working in Washington, D.C. doing litigation support, and I was looking for a way out. And so, in 2009, I could kind of see that there was an opportunity for me to step out of the company that I was in And so I took a buyout and started Hunting Life, full time in late 2009, and moved to Nebraska almost 6 months later. For me, making that transition it was hard. I mean, honestly, I went from, making a tremendous amount of money as an executive in a company with, 100 plus employees nationwide to, working by myself in a room basically. And so learning how to figure it out. For me, the transition became successful mostly because of networking, um, joining organizations that helped me to network, whether that was NSSF as a media member, or POMA, the Professional Outdoor Media Association, or AGLOW, the Association of Greater Lakes Outdoor Writers, which I'm now the executive director for. Joining those kinds of organizations really helped me to connect with others and be able to get feedback, kind of like this webinar right here, and be able to kind of like learn from the people that I was surrounded with. And that's what really made a difference in my success.
Yeah. I also know that, I mean, you told me prior that you also speak at multiple conferences too. How did
Yep.
you kind of get those speaking roles? Was it through your network? Can you walk us through a little bit about that?
I just kind of like I went to those organizations and kind of like begged for them to give me a spot because I thought like I had a voice, and I really wanted to make sure that I was giving back to the community as much as they were giving back to me. And if that's how I joined the board at POMA, and was active in that organization for many years. And the reason why was because I really wanted to give back to that group of people that had helped me to grow as a developer. And that's why I applied for the executive director position for Aglow. The same kind of thing. Like, I believe that networks and having one-on-one time with people is incredibly important. We live in this Zoom world now, and it's like, okay, well, if I can create events where people stand together and they're able to meet belly to belly and have that networking time, then that's kind of the most important thing in my world.
I love that. That vision literally aligns very perfectly with RockPorch, in
Mhm.
terms of like how, yeah, building community and community people first and building these like one-on-one connections. Hence, once again, thank you guys for being, the our community and showcasing, what you guys do. So let's jump over to Dom.
Yeah. Okay, so my journey started back in 2018 when I very first sort of transitioned from apartment house life into van life. That was sort of where my content creation journey started. I had 300 followers in 2018. I was a full-time paramedic, and on my journey to medical school, I was very excited for that path. And I sort of had a bit of a transition into wanting to explore outdoor rec and van life more. So I took a leap of faith and decided that I wanted to dive right into content creation, this sort of skipping from 2018 to 2020 of van life and letting go of my paramedicine career. I took a job with BC Parks and became a park operator. So this was a huge pay cut. So this transition was, again, quite difficult. But what I did on the side was a side hustle of YouTube and courses, like what we call YouTube University. So learning how to market myself, what a personal brand is, what is Instagram, what is content creation. And this is, of course, before TikTok. And then what really spearheaded this was COVID, the pandemic. And it was this great desire for myself to be able to be self-reliant and travel the world. So that was that sort of transition there. And yeah, now we're continuing that journey.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's jump over to Laura.
Yeah, so my story is, to give some context, I'm a third culture kid, and I've grown up in Italy, my home country, and I spent half of my life in the US. And when you're a third culture kid, you start to have this kind of identity crisis. You don't feel like you belong anywhere specific. And I felt that the more I lived in the US, the more I was stripped of my Italian nationality by my own family members and friends in Italy. And in the US, I'm always the American friend, no matter what, the Italian friend. And when I was the summer before my sophomore year of college, I had an epiphany while I was doing a solo trip around Europe. And that was that I feel the most at home when I'm surrounded by the unknown when I'm traveling, because that's what I've grown up with, just being wherever I don't know and then adapting to that place. And because I was going back and forth every winter and summer, in high school, I started my Instagram profile. So it's quite old now. And that's where the passion started of sharing my travels, being back in Italy, then being in the US. Um, and then I got into marketing. I was originally a bio major, and I quickly realized that was not the life I wanted to live. And that again came with the epiphany from my solo trip in Europe, that I wanted to get into marketing and doing something more creative. So one thing led to another. I decided to start taking my social media more seriously with Laura Dolci Travels. That was in the summer 2021, I believe, or 22. The years after COVID have started to just really get mixed up. And once I started that, I began hearing about people making a full-time living being content creators and travel bloggers. I decided to go down the travel blogger route. So I worked at a marketing agency for 2 years, and my boyfriend, who's from Spain, um, and me being from Italy, we both knew we wanted to go back to Europe. And being in our early 20s, we said, if we're going to take a risk on our dreams, it needs to be now. So I took the leap of faith as a beginner. So these 2 years for me have definitely been in the investing and the learning phase of things. But I have started to monetize this year, which has been very exciting. So I'm excited to see what's next.
Yeah, so great transition into monetization. So can you guys tell us about the ways that you guys have monetized so far? And like, is it freelance jobs? Is it affiliate marketing, email marketing, blogging? It's usually a combination of each, but I want to know what has worked the best for you and what has, what has worked the best for you guys?
Yeah, I guess I can just finish, adding. So on my end with the travel blog, that's where I make my monetization. So that's through affiliate links. And I started right away because when you have a blog, you don't need to have a certain amount of traffic to start generating to have affiliate links. So I started with that right away, and I was able to grow my blog enough to enter Journey by Mediavine, which is a smaller program. So you get ads on your blog. So that's how I've been monetizing with the blog itself, through affiliate platforms and Journey, and also some freelance gigs there and there.
Amazing. How about Kevin?
We make all of our money basically off of sponsorships and affiliate and some email marketing. We have banner advertisements on the website. We started adding in affiliate links and doing content creation around products that we believed in, and began doing affiliate probably all the way back in 2008, 2009. We our first big deal was with Spot Messenger. And Spot Messenger is basically like a small tool that you carry with you when you're out in the backwoods. And if something goes wrong, you can press an SOS button and somebody's going to come rescue you. Now we have, InReach Garmin, and there's a ton of other great products on the market. And in fact, InReach is one of the products that's inside of RockPorch, where you can basically like get somebody to come and rescue you. Plus, that was an incredible learning opportunity. I would go do seminars, and in the seminars, I would talk about how great this product was. We did YouTube videos and we talked about how great it was. I mean, I truly believed in the product, and that's kind of been my mantra all the way through is if it's a product that I can really believe in, then it's very, very easy for me to monetize off of that. We sell magazine advertising, we do email blasts, and we work with companies on a one-on-one basis.
Cool. Can you tell us a little bit more about like the pitch in terms of the sponsorship? So sponsorship as in the ads on your blog as well as ads on your email marketing campaigns. Is that correct?
Yes. And really in the magazine, in the digital magazine that we produce. Because the magazine is digital, we can have direct links directly to the companies. And so our pitch is, we have a media kit that we've developed over the last several years. And we kind of, at this point, we're kind of basically giving banner advertisement away to companies that come on and become a sponsor with us. And so we like to sell basically a package where it is, a magazine or an advertisement in the magazine every single quarter. And so they would get 4 magazine advertisements. We give them a certain number of e-blasts out to our audience and, some social media posts, and then we give them a free banner on the website.
Yeah.
That's kind of our generic pitch.
Have you guys seen, I know with the new AI implementation, especially last month, have you guys kind of seen a dip in traffic, or how has that kind of affected you guys?
I've seen almost a 60% dip in traffic based upon Google.
Yeah.
It's dramatic.
So what are some strategies that you're hoping to use to bounce back? I know a lot of our bloggers are suffering this last month and this month. They are like hurting.
Yeah, I'm hopeful that the new algorithm change that just launched 3 days ago will kind of correct the ship a little bit, but I doubt it. I don't think Google's really interested in my success or the creators' success that are members of RockPorch. Google is interested in making the brands happy, and I think that it's going to hurt all of us, and ultimately, I think it'll hurt Google. But that being said, as a brand, as a media operation, I've been constantly focused on trying to grow our own email list, constantly focused on continuing to grow our social media platform. Being in the hunting space, I don't trust any of the social media platforms to not shadow ban us, which they do. But we're in the hunting space. It's controversial, so I get it. But at the end of the day, like it hurts, and so we're just constantly out there trying to produce the biggest amount of content that we can. I think from my perspective, I'll go much stronger into YouTube this year than I ever have before. And we certainly, I think from that perspective, I think that's going to help because I still see YouTube as just an incredible, viable platform. And it's been, somewhat hunting friendly. So, we'll try to attack that and make sure that when we write articles, we'll have that YouTube video embedded in those articles and we'll do the best we can.
Yeah, that's great strategies, Kevin. Let's jump to Dom, who's on the other side of the spectrum, which is totally UGC, Instagram, social media. So yeah, let's talk about it from that perspective.
Okay. The first thing I want to say is that I'm not in my van today. I feel like I left that out. I'm saying I'm full-time van life and I'm in a house. I've got a friend's place that I'm borrowing for the meeting today, which is awesome. So I just wanted to throw that in there. So I do quite a bit. One of the things that I do actually have a second camper van that I rent out to give people the experience of van life. So that is like one thing that I do with She Wanders Earth as well, to support my journey. But I also am huge into affiliate marketing, brand partnerships, which can look like in-feed posts for my own social media, which is on Instagram mostly. I'm not as big on TikTok. I've always kind of struggled with TikTok, as well as YouTube. But the brand partnerships part, I think the really interesting thing to talk about, and we can dive into it more, is like in-feed content for brands versus UGC content for brands. Those are two different things that you can do when working with brands to make money there. And then the other thing that I've been doing is working with tourism boards. So creating content in short form video format for different destinations across British Columbia and Alberta. mainly. And then similar to Kevin, the platform that I find is the most stable and reliable is YouTube. So I've recently transitioned and have started posting on YouTube, and I am very close to being monetized within 30 days. And so, yeah, we can chat more about that as well, which is very exciting. But my biggest tip to everyone is consistency in your posting, and then always addressing your customers' pain points. Yeah.
Okay, you left so many little morsels of like, okay, I want more. So tell us more about YouTube. Like, what have you done so far?
Yeah. Okay. So YouTube has 3 videos. YouTube Shorts has been something I've always been doing. So when I post something on Instagram, I also add it to YouTube Shorts, because just repurpose your content if you have the time to do so. You may as well. And so that's been going on. And then I recently decided to take the leap. So my first step and suggestion is make a little intro video that kind of talks about why people should subscribe to you, a little blurb about your life, 2 minutes max. Put that out as your first video, as like your little channel intro. And then for me, the biggest thing that everyone is so curious about is where I live, what's inside my van. So I did a van tour as my first video, and I had 100 subscribers before the intro video. And then after that video, then I'm now over 1,000 subscribers within the 30 days, but I'm still missing those watch time hours. But that first van tour video got 17,000 views. And I think my next video, which is about cooking up pizza in an oven that I have in my van, has over 18,000 views. And so, yeah, that's it's kind of crazy. It's sort of taken off. But I think when you combine your passion and, again, those pain points of how people, what they want to see, depending on what your niche is, and you can address those, then yeah, you can have success there. Does that answer your question?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
So follow-up question to that, and then I will also ask Chad's question. But how much research did you do prior to posting on YouTube in terms of like those pain points, or was it just something that you were like, oh, this is something that I know is a question in my niche that I want to address?
I think a lot of those pain points for me and my niche have sort of been ongoing throughout my 6 years of van life. So I didn't really, I knew that my audience was waiting for a van tour. So I knew that was coming. So I could kind of use that on my Instagram to bring people over to YouTube. Yeah, not too much research in terms of the pain points, although you can use ChatGPT to help you if you don't know what your audience's pain points, or honestly just directly ask. A lot of the times I'll do like Q&A stories on my Instagram stories and just say like, what do you want to know about? And those, like, thank those whenever you've got those, or like negative comments on your videos, positive comments, like those are all great talking points. Yeah, that's sort of my tip there. I think the biggest other tip for YouTube is like, it's daunting, and I've looked at it and I have years of, my van build video footage just stockpiled, and it's just like, just get it out there. It's not going to be pretty. My very first video, my van tour, for everyone watching, has like a major glitch in it. But it's all fun, and you're going to progress over time, and it's just about starting.
Okay, awesome. So Chad's question, how hard are you finding it to travel with all the huge price increases in RV spots overnight? Are you passing those costs alongside your advertisers? Good question, Chad.
That is a really good question. No, I have not ever passed those costs along to my like for brands that I'm working with, or like travel destinations that I'm working with. I use iOverlander, which is an app kind of common in the camping van life community. iOverlander has spots and the access spots to like areas to boondock or areas to find free camping, BLM land, which is BLM is in the States, or public land here in Canada. So there's quite a bit of that around. I don't often stay at RV parks, but if I, coming into the winter season, I will be staying at RV parks, but just, once or twice a week to charge up, get water, and then be on my way. Yeah.
Okay, but I mean, Chad, honestly, that's a great suggestion. Maybe, start creating that pitch to pass that cost along for sure.
Definitely.
All right, let's jump to Laura. How have you monetized? Oh, wait, we already talked. Wait, you did start it, you said, right? Okay.
I started, yeah.
Okay. Can you guys touch on a little bit of like FTC rules and maybe like what that is and how you guys have are cognizant of the rules that you need to follow alongside monetization, and or if you guys have any tax tips for monetizing.
Did you say tax tips?
Yeah, like stuff like maybe like write-offs, or certain little tips that you guys have. Yeah.
From a tax perspective, you know, I certainly write off all of my travel and content creation and products that I get. Like I got a new laptop this year, and I bought a new camera this year, and so I'll certainly depreciate those across time from a tax perspective. Um, I do, I want to keep things as simple as humanly possible in my life, and so I don't, save a tremendous amount of receipts, but I don't save everything I probably should. Because honestly, like at the end of the day, I want to make sure my life is simple, and I want to just move forward. When you get product in from companies, and you have to actually write that off, and so that I do track, because that adds up to quite a bit of, there's a ton of products that come in on a pretty regular basis. And so, I do keep a spreadsheet of all of that so that I can make sure that we write that off, and or use that as part of our income. Then from there, my biggest focus is really on just creating new content and trying to grow as fast as we possibly can. And the biggest ways that I do that is like, Dominic, you had a great point of like the tourism bureaus and working with them. That's one of the things that over the last couple of years I've really learned. Being a member of a Glow, and being able to have a press card is essential to being able to go to events and request access to events that I never thought was possible. Like a year ago, I got to go to the Fancy Food Show, which is put together by the Specialty Food Association. It was in Las Vegas, and it's literally a show with 800 vendors promoting food. And I got to go because I'm in the media. I have a press card. And so I was able to go to that convention and be able to sample food from around the world. There was food from Italy, and I got to try all these different pastas and balsamic vinegar, and go to the Japan area and try wagyu and miso soup, and all of these different things. And for me, I was able to garner content out of that because I worked with a whole bunch of barbecue sauce companies, and we wrote up an article about barbecue sauce, uh, specifically pairing it with wild game. And so from that perspective, like the entire event, the entire day was one of the best days I've ever had, like, getting to walk around a convention. And I got to get content out of it that, paid for me to be there. So that was just exceptional.
Yeah, that's a great point in terms of, like building IRL in real life connections is going to take you like further than
Yeah.
online connections for sure.
Yeah, you cannot create a press card. You have to like get one by joining an association that will give you the credentials.
Got
Um, So you want to do that through like join a Glow, the Association of Great Lakes Outdoor Writers. Join OWAA, which is the Association, our Outdoor Writers of Association of America. POMA, the Professional Outdoor Media Association, for more the hook and bullet. Like OWAA is kind of more on the backpacking and travel side, and POMA, POMA,
oh,
and a Glow are more on the hook and bullet side. And so those are great organizations to join and become, a part of a collective of people that will, you can learn from on a regular basis. As well, during that time, you get the opportunity to get a media card, and you can then present that media card when you go to tourism locations, you go to restaurants. I use my media card when I travel because a media card allows you to travel with 100 pounds of baggage, and most people don't know that. And so like every airline has their own policy in regards to that, but once you learn what that policy is, you can travel with a higher weight limit. So it gives you some advantages being out there in the market. And as a lone wolf creator, I never knew these things. I never had a clue. But getting to be a part of a network really made that difference. And getting to be in a group like RockPorch is really, really essential as well, because you're getting to learn from those around you.
Yeah. Oh, thanks for the shout out, Kevin. How about you, Dom and Laura, in terms of like the networks? So obviously the networks can be really different than from a media perspective, right? What networks have you guys joined, or communities that you guys would recommend in your niches?
Maybe Laura, you want to answer this? I was going to answer more about the taxes, but Laura, you answer this first if you know it. I'm going to think a minute.
I am the same as you, Dominic.
Okay, well,
I was also thinking about the taxes answer and the FTC. If you want, I can answer that, or
yeah. Let's do that first, and then queue up
Okay.
for the next one.
Sounds good. So for the FTC, I just always make sure to always put disclaimers if I have affiliate links. That is in social media blog posts and in social media posts and blog posts. With blog posts, it's always at the very top before people can get into the blog. And same with social media. And then with taxes, very similar to Kevin, I do write-offs with travel, so flights, any products that I need to buy for my blog. So for example, my hosting site, my host, any recurring expenses that go towards the blog and my business and travels.
Cool. Anything else to add to that, Dom?
I think for me, I don't know how this is for everyone in the States, but for me in British Columbia, Canada, having a GST number is really important. I write an invoice for every brand partnership that I have. So again, whether it's in kind or paid, that way I use an accounting software. I have an accountant so that I'm making sure that that's all up to snuff. I think writing an invoice for everything that you're doing is really important as well. Yeah, like Laura said, having the disclaimer for the affiliate links is important. And then in terms of like travel for write-offs, I think the only thing that I would say for me with van life, it's a little tricky because my home is on wheels, it's portable. My office is there. So that is a bit like, I can't really write off like half my rent or something like that. So that's still a work in progress as van life becomes more of a thing. I don't know where that will lead, but the one thing that I do write off is gas. If I am traveling to a destination or to go do a content shoot, I will track my kilometers and write off my gas. Yeah.
Cool. I think that leads, I know, sorry, I'm like stacking all these questions, and I'll get to your question soon, Martha. But I want, basically what Dom said about, you have somebody who like handles your finances. What tools and or people, I guess, do you guys recommend having on your team that are like, not really your team, right? But like people associated that you would recommend. So tools of the business that you would recommend, and maybe additional people like freelancers that you guys hire out for maybe the services that you don't want to do.
Do you want me to keep going?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So I use Xero, Xero, Xero accounting software. That's what I use because I deal with Canadian payments and US dollar payments. Stripe is my payment processor, which makes it really easy. I am not a fan of PayPal. And what else? I think that's it. Oh, and I use HubDoc. HubDoc is a software that you can use to upload your receipts, and it integrates with Xero, and Stripe integrates with Xero as well. So those are the software pieces that I use. I also have a bookkeeper and an accountant, and that just takes the pressure off of me having to think about all of that, and I can again, focus on the content creation part of it. And that's what I do.
Cool. How about you guys, Kevin, Laura?
I use Excel and for the vast majority of just tracking, most of what I'm doing. I create a P&L, and I've been creating a P&L for, 25 years. So when I started with this business, I just rolled that same P&L directly over to what I'm doing now. I hand all of that and my receipts over to an accounting person who takes care of all of our taxes. And I certainly, I pay him to do that, but I also will pay him a couple times a year just to give me advice on what I could be doing in a better way. So, I'll go sit down with him for 2 or 3 hours a couple times a year and just kind of like, okay, what should I be paying attention to? What do I need to be doing to make sure that, I don't want to be audited and I don't want to have to deal with that. And so that helps from that perspective. I've had a virtual assistant for going on 13 or 14 years now in the Philippines.
Oh,
And that person is an incredible part of my team. And I work with them on a daily basis. So it really makes a difference. Rose has been she's been absolutely essential to my success. And I think, I know that she really appreciates, the opportunity to work with us too.
yeah, super cool. Yeah, we just connected with some. Yeah, we might get a VA from the Philippines too. So, what program did you go through, or did you? How did you find your VA?
I actually met Rose through a developer that was out there that I was working with, and he basically introduced me to this VA. He used a specific Filipino job board, um, and now there are hundreds out there that are available. I think somewhere is one of somewhere.com is one of the ones that you can utilize to hire a virtual assistant. There's online jobs dot whatever the Filipino .com is. And there's several out there that really you can utilize to find the people you're looking for. I am in the market for probably three more people.
Okay.
I'm looking for a full-time developer from a WordPress perspective. I'm looking for somebody to do SEO for us, and I'll probably be looking for somebody to do YouTube editing and YouTube SEO basically, to get our videos up and make sure that they're ranking and they're moving forward, etc. And I think that that's an incredible. I mean, it's an important investment. Now with my magazine, I also hire a full-time editor. I have a full-time graphics person for that magazine, and then we freelance other outdoor writers to come and write for us, specifically for that magazine. We don't usually have too many writers for the website. We kind of tend to handle that all internally. But for the magazine specifically, we wanted to have as many wide variety of voices out there. And so we go out there and we look for, young content creators to kind of come on board or senior content creators to come on board and really, write those feature articles for us.
Awesome. Yeah. How about specific tools? Like, what do you guys use for your email marketing? What do you guys use for your hosting? Different stuff like that. Do you guys use Canva?
Daily.
Yeah, Canva is a must.
Yeah, it is. The pro version.
Exactly. Yes. I'm so glad
Yes.
they didn't end up raising the prices like they said they would.
Yeah. Yeah. Because you guys all mentioned hosting, right? Like, Laura, do you use Bluehost, GoDaddy? What's your?
Yes. So I currently have been using SiteGround. And that was a great platform, but recently I've been debating switching to Big Scoots, which I've heard good things about, because SiteGround recently started making their help, customer service, be paid for. So that's something I've been debating, definitely worth noting. So yeah, I use SiteGround at the moment, Canva Pro. My business, I had registered my business on LegalZoom. So if anyone wants to turn their business into, make it official, a real business, LegalZoom was a good platform to do that on. I use ConvertKit for emails. I used to use MailChimp, but I really liked what ConvertKit had to offer. And then I'm a big fan of Google Docs. So the spreadsheets, the the docs. And so I will make my templates as well to work with, because when I worked at my marketing agency, I was able to kind of take what I used to work with there and make it my own. So yeah, those are my main platforms.
Super cool. Yeah, I think ConvertKit, that's what I used to use as well.
Yes.
For email marketing. They changed it to Kit. Just short. Mm-hmm. And so all of you guys have an email marketing tool, right? Dom, what do you use?
Yes.
Yeah, so I'm actually the same as Laura on like everything. I use SiteGround as well. Yeah, and I use Upwork or Canva Pro, ConvertKit for my email marketing. Yeah, the only other piece I use Google for everything: Google Docs, Google Sheets. I'm a big fan of Google Workspace, Google Admin. I didn't know that about SiteGround though, so I'm gonna have to look into that.
Yeah.
And then the other thing that I use for contracts, for like my creator contracts, is I have just been using HoneyBook. I'm sure there's other options out there, but I love their templates. Their help is really great. They respond quickly, and you can add all your branding in, and I find it really easy to use. Yeah.
Super cool.
I'm taking notes because it's like such great drops here.
Yeah, the fact that you guys have identical, identical stuff is interesting. Great question from Martha. Let's combine Martha's two questions. So one, what strategies do you guys use to grow your email list? Because email list is literally king, because with all these algorithm changes, with all these Google Analytics changes, the only thing you can actually quite rely on is your email list, because that is your own, that's an asset that you own, and that's the most engaged audience. So yeah, everyone, if you don't have an email list yet, start growing that. So yeah, what strategies do you have? And then the other question Martha had earlier was, where is it? It was, do you ever get tired of the content grind, and how do you get over like humps?
Yeah. So for strategies to grow the email list, my biggest one has been freebies. So for example, I started writing a lot about Japan because I went back in April. And I made this checklist of like it contained my blog posts of like essential things to know before visiting Japan, things to pack, things to make sure you check, like which countries need a visa, which ones don't. So because it took a lot of time to prepare for this trip, so I wanted to make people's lives easier. So I kind of condensed everything I had learned in that freebie. And I shared that freebie in my Japan blog posts towards the end. And I had also made some social media posts, and one had actually gone viral, and it got me like 1,200 subscribers, which was quite intense. So yes, that's what I do currently for my strategy to grow the email list. And then for content creation, burnout can definitely be inevitable. I'm personally going through it this week because of a few different things that happened. But something that I really started doing this year is doing time blocks is personally really helpful, because it kind of feels like you never have enough time to do it all. So you try to dedicate your all to a task. And so I started putting limits. That way, let's say I'm writing for 2 hours in the morning, I have a hard stop and I have to move on to a different task. That way, when I get back to writing the blog post, let's say at 6 p.m., I'm refreshed and I'm excited to be writing, rather than dragging on like the whole morning just writing. So yeah, time blocks and organization and discipline. Yeah, because it's better to pick at things every day in different quantities rather than burning out and not doing anything.
Yeah. How about you, Dom or Kevin?
Yeah, From my perspective, I'm super ADD, so I break things into, 20 to 30 minute time blocks
Yeah.
and basically just try to attack, 5 or 10 different things at one time during a day. And so, I wake up every single morning, I write down the, 6 tasks that I want to get done today. And basically, like, my day doesn't end until those are done at least. And
Mm.
usually I end up throwing, a phone call comes in or an email comes in from a client, and, I'll have to add a couple of things on there. So, from that perspective, it's just that's what my days look like. Um, I really try to push myself through.
Cool. Dom?
Yeah, I am also a fan of a few different things. One for content creation is batch creating content. I think that's huge. If you're trying to create a reel or a content post every day, I feel like that's just leading right into burnout. So I do that, batch creating content and thinking about ideas ahead of time, as well as just like having a ton of B-roll, because you can always use that in your content. So always taking video. I use Asana for my task management. That is how I keep myself organized, especially for those tasks that aren't pressing in the day-to-day. Similar to Kevin, I have like a daily, these are my absolute must do's. And sometimes I find that, my day needs to go until those are taken care of. And I also find that staying on top of my to-dos and being present every day and really hitting those high priority tasks allows my stress levels to come down, which then creates that space for creativity when I am creating content. I'm not hitting a block and kind of being fuzzy. And so like Laura says, like if you're just feeling frustrated, just like another time, like go do something else, switch it up, be excited for what you're about to create. Cause then you're going to you're going to shine a lot more in your content if you do that.
Cool.
Yeah.
So Marie has actually 2 questions. I'm going back up to when she asked, when do you need to start writing off your content creation income? I'm assuming ASAP, but if you guys want to tap a little bit more to that. And then also, how do you get the email from the freebie? So I just kind of wrote out a little bit. And Marie, if you want, we can jump on a call too, where I can kind of walk you through step by step, kind of how it works and what to do. But do you guys have any, I guess, additional tips for Marie in those 2 regards?
I think in Canada, you need to start writing things off as soon as you hit 35,000. I don't know how that is in the US, but that's what the rule is here. Yeah. If that
I mean,
helps.
I created a business day one. The day I bought the domain, we had honeylife.blogspot.com, and that was our first step. And almost like within a month, I went and met with an accountant and said, like, what do I need to do to create a business? And I created a business, and then that business, like, as soon as we made $1,000, it was like, okay, we're a viable business now. And so we filed a business return every single year as a part of our regular tax returns. And, we just have always kept it that way.
Great.
Yeah, I like that feedback too, because if you take it seriously like that, like we are a business, it doesn't matter if we're making $1,000 or if we're making $100,000. You take it seriously, then you're going to also put in that same amount of effort into it growing as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay, we have another question from Chad. Does everyone feel that a link tree is a huge help in centralizing your connections and getting people to follow you in more places?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. Having that one central location where your followers can find all of the ways that they can follow you is essential. And then, with Instagram's a perfect example, you only get one link. And so you want to be able to link to your brand partners. You want to be able to link to your other social media platforms, your YouTube page, your email subscription page, your free offer to go and get, the list of great travel tips for Japan. Like you want to have those links in that link tree. That's what really makes a difference in getting more subscribers and getting more people to follow you everywhere across the board.
Yeah, can everyone just drop their link trees so that we can explore each other's link trees to see what other people are doing? So yeah, that goes for everyone on the call and for the speakers as well.
Yeah, it'd be great too if everybody that's on the call drop in your social media following. Drop in your Instagram.
Yeah.
so that
But-
we can follow, everybody can kind of like gain from this, one call.
yeah. Well, their link tree should have their Insta. So
That'd be great.
yes, Madeline, there will be a recording. No worries at all. Let's see. So yeah, so we have 10 minutes left. Any lingering questions or any things that people want to ask our speakers, feel free to drop it in the chat right now. Or is there anything, you know what, as we're waiting for the questions to roll in, any advice that you would give to maybe your I don't know, your prior to full-time self? Yeah.
Oh my gosh, don't give up. There's going to be a lot of highs and a lot of lows, but you're going to just slowly do this. It's not like a linear path. And I think with your passion and your goals and just continue to grow, and touching on what Kevin said, like network, reach out to other creators, people within your niche. Like, don't be afraid to ask questions and join communities and get lots of knowledge, because everything is always changing month after month, year after year in the creative industry. So yeah, that would be my advice.
Cool. Anyone else?
Yeah. Network like crazy. Attend as many events as humanly possible. It's expensive to go to a conference. I get it, but there are ways that you can go to these conferences and create content and then come home. I go to the Archery Trade Association event every single year. I go to SHOT Show every single year, which is a shooting, hunting, outdoor trade show. I go to the Fancy Food Show. I go to the POMA conference. I go to Affiliate West every year. Going to those events connects you with other people who will move you forward. And it also just like, it's exciting to go to some of these events and meet others who are doing things that just can blow you away. I just got back from the Outdoor Media Summit, which was in Missoula, Montana, and it's all outdoor content creators. I'm probably one of the few like hunting content creators that attends this event every year, but it's generally like backpackers and hikers and individuals like Dominic and Laura. Like, it's a great event. And going to that though, like I get to sit down and have a conversation with somebody who is like 10 times bigger than I am in the space. And I get to like learn and glean tips from them. That's just tremendous. And it's motivating. I come out of those events and I'm just like, oh, I'm so excited to get started and do this and really like make that progress move forward. That's what keeps me past like having a whole lot of lows in this industry.
Yeah. Oh, Madeline has a great question. Has anyone here monetized a podcast, and how do you find sponsors?
You have to ask. I haven't monetized a podcast, but I mean, we're probably going to start one here in the near future. It's just ask. I mean, if you want an advertiser, you want a sponsor, whether it's, you've got to put your media kit in front of them and say like, hey, I think you're a great fit. Like, your product resonates with my audience and we really want to work with you. So like, how do we make that happen? You have to ask.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, a unique pitch customized to the brand, or for the product or service. 100%. I've had a podcast. I have not monetized it, but yeah, ask. Mm-hmm.
There was a great question from Martha. How do you explain to your parents what you do for a living? And but the question I actually wanted to ask from Martha was, what other creators do you look to for inspiration? I love that question. Yeah, who inspires y'all?
From
Well,
my perspective, yeah, go ahead.
no,
Dom.
no, I insist.
Gear Patrol, Gear Junkie, gearjunkie.com is probably like one of the best like outdoor companies that does product reviews and they write about the outdoor industry. And like I love looking at their content. They come at it from a journalistic perspective. And Pack Hacker is another one, where I just love watching their YouTube videos because the quality of production, and like I love like backpacks and travel gear and things like that. And Pack Hacker does just an amazing job of putting that content out there.
All the stuff I'm typing in the chat, by the way, y'all, is I just want to make sure it's correct. Like,
Yep.
like Kevin, if you could just double check everything I'm typing. Okay.
Yep.
How did you guys, Dom, Laura?
In terms of explaining what I do to my parents, they never remember. I tell them every time. They're confused, and that's just is what it is. And I love them for it. In terms of inspiring profiles, Divine on the Road as a van lifer, Sydney Forbaci, she was like my guiding light throughout van life. Now she lives in a house, but that's fine. No judgment there. And then Quinn Gable, I love her content as well in the van life industry. Trying to think of, there's like Rugged Destinations. They're specifically like a UGC content creator profile. They actually don't, from my knowledge, they don't post any branded content on their actual feed. And their UGC content is just stunning. Yeah.
We actually, both of those people that you mentioned are our creators. And actually,
Amazing.
yeah, we literally interviewed Rugged Destinations, I think 3 webinars ago about their,
perfect.
yeah, their like TripAdvisor links, which they were killing it. And we're like, and so yeah, we were asked. So if you want to watch that, and also Quinn Gable, I never know how to say, but yeah, she's also one of our creators. She's been on our platform for I think years.
Awesome.
I've never heard of the Divine on the Road, and you can drop their handle. I'm not sure how to spell that, but super cool. Thank you, Divine on the Road. Okay. Yeah. How about you, Laura? Your inspo.
Yeah. I would say my one of my biggest inspos in my journey was Bucket List Bree. She's actually the person who's taught me everything I know about blogging. So she's always been a big inspiration. Everything she does, she's an amazing blogger. She's been doing this, I believe, for 9, almost 10 years now. And then Alexis Abroad as well. She always inspires me to be a very proactive blogger. She's always publishing like 15 blog posts a month. She's an incredible writer. So in the blogging world, and they're also on Instagram, they definitely inspire me a lot.
So is it Bucket List BRE or BRI?
Yes, BRE. Sorry. Yes. In Italian, it gets confusing because the letter E in English is E. Sorry. Bucket List BRI.
Oh, okay.
Sorry.
BRI.
It's that one letter I always switch in Italian.
And then Alexis, is that correct?
Alexis with a Y Abroad.
Okay. Yes. Please check out. Amazing. Cool. Any other lingering questions? We have 3 minutes left. Ask or forever hold your peace. I mean, obviously, these creators are accessible later on if you guys want to follow and connect. But yeah, if there's any fault, yeah. Wait, I want to know, Kevin, how do you explain your to your parents or I don't know, your people? Like, I mean, it's been like a decade, right? But like, do they ever wonder what you still do?
When I first started, like people, you're just a hunting pro, and I'm like, yeah, and I hate that. From my perspective, I've always been a publisher. Like I publish a website, I publish a magazine, I publish content, and that's how I market myself, or as an outdoor writer. I would say, either one of those, depending upon who the audience was.
Yeah.
And I think that, that's kind of, I tell people like, we're a content creator, like that's what's really important in these days is, I think that's the best word for it. I hate the word, I'm an influencer, like, no, like I'm a content creator and I create content to help people all the way across the entire board.
Awesome. Okay, Chad, thank you for being so engaged. I love all your questions. We have to answer your last one. If you were not doing this, what would you do? Rapid, fast fire, go Dom.
I would still be pushing for YouTube. I still have the vision.
Okay, all right. Laura.
Duolingo.
Okay.
I love their marketing team.
Oh my God, love it. And Kevin.
Yeah, I'd probably be a marketing director, or be heavily focused in the travel industry. One of those two.
Super.
Yeah, something like giving back for sure.
Mm.
Awesome. All right. Well, thank you guys all for carving out a little bit of time to us to talk to us, share your incredible insights. We will be sending out a recorded version of this webinar, so stay tuned to your inbox. Our next webinar is not going to be until January 22nd because of the holidays, but we will be featuring our lovely marketing director, Martha, as we call her endearingly, Mama Martha, where she'll be talking about personal branding, kind of what Dom kind of talked about, and how to weave your story into a brand. Which she's incredible at. So stay tuned for that after the holidays. Once again, thank you everyone for your time today, and we will see you at the next webinar. All right.
Bye.
Bye.